Welcome back to Firepower. Most people think handgun rounds are meant to stop fast, short range, limited penetration, a controlled amount of power that ends inside the target. That assumption feels logical, and for many handgun calibers it's mostly true. But there is one cartridge that has never followed those rules, and misunderstanding that fact is exactly what makes it so dangerous. That cartridge is the .357 Magnum. The .357 Magnum has a reputation for power, but reputation alone doesn't explain why it remains one of the most lethal handgun rounds ever created. The real reason it is deadlier than most people realize has nothing to do with hype or nostalgia. It has everything to do with how it was designed, how it behaves physically, and how easily people underestimate it. To understand the .357 Magnum, you have to understand why it exists. In the early 1900s, law enforcement faced a serious problem. Criminals were using automobiles as mobile cover, steel doors, angled body, panels, and even engine components could stop the common service cartridges of the time, especially .38 Special. Officers needed a handgun round that could penetrate barriers, reach vital organs, and end violent encounters decisively. In 1935, the .357 Magnum was introduced to solve that exact problem. It was created by lengthening the .38 Special case and loading it to significantly higher pressures. This allowed much higher velocities while still fitting in a revolver platform. From the beginning, the goal was not comfort or moderation. The goal was penetration and authority. The .357 Magnum was built to punch through obstacles that stopped other handgun rounds. That design goal has never changed. Modern .357 Magnum loads routinely push bullets well over 200 feet per second, and some lighter loads exceed that by a wide margin. Velocity is the key factor here. Velocity allows a bullet to defeat barriers, maintain energy, and penetrate deeply. In a handgun cartridge, that combination is rare. In the .357 Magnum, it is standard. This is where most people misunderstand its lethality. Because it is fired from a handgun, many assume it behaves like other handgun rounds. But the .357 Magnum sits in a unique space. It delivers rifle-like penetration from a revolver. It does not rely solely on bullet expansion to stop threats. Instead, it relies on speed, penetration, and momentum. When it hits, it often keeps going. That is both its strength and its danger. The .357 Magnum has a long history of decisive stopping power. When placed correctly, it can end a threat with a single shot. But that same penetration creates a serious risk of over-penetration. A bullet that exits the target does not disappear. It continues until it strikes something else. Walls, furniture, and even exterior barriers offer little resistance to a full-power .357 Magnum round. This reality is often overlooked by people who focus only on stopping power. Another factor that contributes to the cartridge's effectiveness is accuracy. Revolvers chambered in .357 Magnum typically have fixed barrels. Unlike semi-automatic pistols, there is no tilting or unlocking action. This provides excellent inherent mechanical accuracy. Combined with the cartridge's high velocity, the result is precise shot placement, even at longer handgun distances. Precision is an advantage, but only when the shooter understands the responsibility that comes with it. Versatility is another defining characteristic of the .357 Magnum. Every revolver chambered for it can also fire .38 Special. This gives shooters two very different performance levels in the same firearm. Light .38. Special loads are soft shooting, easy to control, and ideal for training. Full power .357. Magnum loads are a dramatic step up in recoil, blast, and penetration. That versatility can be deceptive. A revolver that feels gentle and controllable with .38 Special becomes a completely different tool when loaded with .357 Magnum. Recoil becomes sharper and faster. Muzzle blast increases significantly. Follow-up shots require more discipline. Shooters who fail to respect this transition often overestimate their ability to control the firearm under stress. Recoil management is critical with this cartridge. The .357 Magnum produces a quick, snapping recoil impulse rather than a slow push. For inexperienced shooters, this can disrupt sight alignment and trigger control. Combined with the intense report and flash, it can overwhelm people who have not trained extensively with full-power ammunition. Muzzle flash deserves special attention. From shorter barrels, the .357 Magnum produces a massive flash, especially in low-light conditions. That flash can temporarily blind the shooter by destroying night vision. Indoors, the blast is concussive. The sound pressure can cause immediate and permanent hearing damage. These factors are rarely considered when people discuss defensive ammunition, but they matter immensely in real-world scenarios. History provides sobering lessons about this cartridge. The .357 Magnum has appeared in some of the most studied law enforcement incidents in American history. Its ability to penetrate deeply, even through intermediate barriers, influenced how agencies evaluate handgun ammunition. Events where threats were not stopped quickly enough, or where penetration caused unintended consequences, helped shape modern ballistic testing standards. The takeaway is not that the .357 Magnum is flawed. The takeaway is that it is powerful enough to demand respect. In hunting applications, the cartridge has proven equally capable. Within reasonable distances, the .357 Magnum has been used successfully on deer and hogs. Its penetration allows it to reach vital organs reliably, and with proper bullet selection, it can deliver ethical, humane kills. Once again, effectiveness depends entirely on judgment and discipline. This leads to the most important point. The real danger of the .357 Magnum is not its power. It is the belief that power alone solves problems. In defensive situations, overpenetration, missed shots, and unintended impacts are often more dangerous than insufficient energy. A powerful round that misses or exits the target creates risks far beyond the immediate threat. Every shot carries responsibility for everything that happens after impact. That is why ammunition selection matters so much. Not all .357 Magnum loads behave the same way. Some are designed for maximum penetration. Others are engineered to expand rapidly and reduce the risk of overpenetration. Choosing the wrong load for the wrong environment multiplies risk. Understanding your ammunition's behavior is just as important as understanding your firearm. Training matters even more. The .357 Magnum rewards shooters who take a disciplined approach, starting with .38 Special, building fundamentals, and gradually transitioning to full-power loads produces far better results than jumping straight into maximum recoil. Control, accuracy, and situational awareness matter more than raw ballistic performance. Hearing protection should always be used during training, and shooters should understand how their revolver behaves in low-light conditions if it is intended for defensive use. These factors are not optional. They are part of responsible ownership. The .357 Magnum is not obsolete. It is not outdated. And it is certainly not weak. It remains one of the most effective handgun cartridges ever designed, but effectiveness without understanding is dangerous. This cartridge was built to defeat cover, penetrate deeply, and deliver decisive force. Those traits do not fade with time. They require respect every time the cylinder closes. The real reason the .357 Magnum is deadlier than most people realize is simple. It does not behave like people expect a handgun round to behave. It penetrates deeper, hits harder, and carries consequences farther than many shooters anticipate. That does not make it a bad choice. It makes it a serious one. If you understand its capabilities, select appropriate ammunition, and train responsibly, the .357 Magnum can be an extremely effective and reliable tool. If you underestimate it, it can become a liability. The cartridge itself is neutral. The responsibility rests entirely with the shooter. So before loading full-power .357 Magnum rounds, ask yourself an honest question. Do you understand what happens after the bullet leaves the barrel? Do you know where it will go if it misses or exits the target? And have you trained enough to control it under stress? Those answers matter far more than velocity numbers or energy charts. Now we want to hear from you. Do you primarily train with .38 Special or full-power .357 Magnum? What made you choose that approach, and how do you manage the cartridge's power responsibly? Leave your thoughts in the comments. These discussions help shooters learn from each other and promote safer, more informed use of powerful tools. If you want more real-world discussions like this, without hype or exaggeration, make sure you're subscribed to Firepower, because understanding your equipment is the first step to using it responsibly. Stay safe, stay disciplined, and we'll see you in the next one.